Hello there, and welcome to our very first episode of the Do's and Don'ts of Property Management, where we share some of our tips and guidance on how to successfully manage a rental property, particularly for the long term. And today I wanted to kickstart us off with one of the biggest mistakes I see landlords and realtors as well do is overpricing properties. It is very expensive to keep a property on the market, and as they say, time is money. Well, in real estate, it really is. The longer you keep it on there, you've got your carrying cost, but also the attraction of the property reduces by every single day. So if the property is on the market for a long period of time, it becomes very difficult to move because ultimately people think there's something wrong with the property, even if it isn't, it was just overpriced. So it's very important to price correctly. Now, there's a few things here that I want to share with you and I want to show you as well on why it is so important to price it correctly and why I think it's absolutely stupid to overprice. It's as simple as that. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right in. So when we look at pricing a property, there's a few things we look at. We look at what's currently active on the market. That gives us a good idea on what we're competing against in terms of cosmetics, in terms of looks, but also in terms of price point. And then we look at what has been rented over here in the last 3 months, and that gives us a really good idea on what people are willing to pay for it. Because it's an important point. Price is dictated by the market and not by the owner. So the owner can want anything they want or what the property costs. It really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The market decides on the price. That's an important point. I hope you get that. Cool. Then the last thing that we look at here is the average days on market, which you can find it in the last column. And the average days on market gives us a really good indicator on what price was accepted by the market and which price wasn't. So you can have a look at, hey, we want to mix and we want to kind of benchmarks against these guys because they've done really well and they moved the property quickly. And we want to look at the properties that have been sitting there for a long time. Why is that the case? Was it because of pricing? Was it because of cosmetics? Was it because of location? All of these things we will take a look at, and that's how you decide on your pricing strategy and how to position your property properly into the market. So what not to do? I want to start off with that right over here. So here is a great example of what not to do. These guys put it on for $4,400. They end up closing it for literally almost $1,000 less, $3,500, 127 days on the market. Anything above 45 days on the market means you've done something wrong. Typically we try to, even in a softened market, we try to focus on moving properties within 2 weeks. Anything longer than that, you really want to be proactive and start changing things and understanding why are you not getting the traction. It might be cosmetics, it might be the way you presented your property, and most 9 out of 10 times it's pricing. So another example here. These guys put it for 37.5. They end up closing at 35, 114 days on market. I mean, at this price point, it costs you around $100 a day, to keep this property in terms of losing out on rent, which means that you've literally given up $11,300 on potential rent just by being on the market for that long. And for what? A $250 difference? It just doesn't make sense in my opinion. Why not just start at $3,500 and move the property within 1 month? Or even $34 and move the property in, let's say, 2 weeks. You've just got a great deal. Now, there's a couple of things here that happens when you price the property fairly or even slightly below market. Because when you look at the rental market, tenants have the freedom to obviously choose. So I call them my A-class tenant, the guys that have good credit, and girls, obviously, they have good credit, good income, a solid background, clean, pay on time, those type of people that look after your property. That's what you want to have. So they have a choice to literally look out and everybody will accept them. So they're looking for great deals and great properties because they get multiple applications and they know they're going to be accepted. If you have a B class or even C class type of property, maybe you're overpriced, you're attracting the type of tenants that wouldn't be able to go into one of those A class deals that your A class tenants do. you tend to get your second tier of tenants applying to the property. And I found this to be extremely true. When you price the property well, you get great applications coming in. When you price the property badly, or if you've got cosmetics problems, maybe the property isn't ready, maybe you didn't hire a professional photographer and you're not positioning the property well, you really get your class B, even C, lower end tenants that wouldn't be accepted elsewhere. But they're trying to move into your property because they don't mind paying a premium as they're not accepted anywhere else. So that's my philosophy, and I've seen this happen time in, time out on a daily basis. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Another example here. So they put it for $4,000 or a little bit more than that. Absolutely did not accept that price, and they end up closing it for 35. 77 days on market. That is way too long. These guys actually did pretty okay in 1 month. So this one went 43 and they were accepted for 42.00. And I want to see if there's any good example here. Oh, here you go, 12 days. So you see these guys had 39 and they closed in 39. And that is absolutely perfect. That's probably a really nice looking property. They're renovated, I'm sure, and they closed it in 12 days. Another example here, you can see they listed for the right price, they closed it at the right price. Now here's another thing that I want to share while I'm on this topic. This is these guys actually overpriced, but then dropped it pretty quickly because they got an offer in and closed in 16 days. So it can happen, but it's not the norm. And one thing I want to show you here, so 39 is a great price to advertise because a lot of people, what they do is, and 42 is not. So what they do is they put on filters. So they'll say, hey, I want a maximum $4,000 or less, or maximum $5,000 and less. So there's these grades, 4,500, 3,500, 2,000. Those are kind of your go-to. So try to watch out with, positioning your property at, let's say, 2,050. That's a bad price to put it at. Rather put it at 2,000 or slightly below 1,990 if you want, or 1,950. Because you will get a lot more views and people filtering out some of those rentals and yours popping up. So it's a small little nugget that really helps a lot. And that's it from me today. I hope you learned something. The most important part of today, if there's anything to take away with, is really evaluate your market well and price your property proper. If you can go even slightly below and you're able to afford it as an owner, I understand you have obviously overheads, carrying costs, etc. But if the numbers make sense, I guarantee you it really will make sense to be more aggressive on your pricing to attract those A-class tenants. It will stay long in your property, look after your property, timely payments, and it will cost you a lot less money than if you're trying to shoot for the moon.